main lounge is bigger than a tennis court, but for all the opulence, this is a home. The pictures, which seem to leap out of the frames on the sideboard, and the golden and platinum discs which line the walls, give a clue to the identity of the man who lives here. Brian Johnson is a symbol of the rock age. His life began 35 years ago in a council house only a few miles from here at Dunstan on the other side of the Tyne. Now he's the lead singer of the international band ACDC. That's Brian Johnson these days, belting out rock music with the world-famous ACDC. But it was a different story in the 70s, when a longer-haired Johnson was lead singer in a group called Geordie, seen here in a Tyne Tees series called, appropriately, Geordie C.
It started in 1972, I think, and Vic Malcolm, Tom Hill, Brian Gibson, 4 local lads. We just went down to London with a bunch of tapes in my hand, just wanting to know the old story. Next thing we knew, we got signed up, made a record, went on top of the pops, and we were famous. No matter, he hit me in my pockets. I was broke.
People taking a look at you now say, well, he's worth a bob or two. But yeah. Was it ever tough? Were you ever out of work or on the dole?
My dad had a saying, you get note for note. For about 7 years after, I left Geordie, for 6 years, I was literally living sort of hand to mouth, In the latter part of it, about 78, we started a band called Geordie again with 3 new lads, That was a great time. At least we had a little bit of money in my pockets to sort of buy a chinky takeout. Can I say that?
Of course you can.
Yeah, we'll get a prawn curry or something to eat between we, It wasn't too bad.
I've heard quite a lot of stories about how you started with ACDC, but perhaps you can put the record straight for it.
Dead easy story. I was playing with Geordie. I got a telephone call. They wouldn't say who it was, They just said, I'm sorry, we can't tell you who it is because of the fact that there's been a bereavement in the band and we don't really think it's time to let anybody know who the band is. I'd never been for an audition in my life. Kind of go to London, I can't afford it.
You really couldn't afford to go down to London?
No, I was broke. I was very lucky. I had a good friend who lent us his car. And as soon as I walked in, it was like a real friendly atmosphere. They just said, oh, hello, and had a can of brown ale waiting for us. The News from Newcastle, and can of brown ale. Yeah, come on, we know you might be nervous. And I was tired, I was knackered. I wasn't nervous. I was just saying, hey, let's do it. I've got to get back. I've got a gig tomorrow.
Now, when was this, when you actually landed the job with ACDC?
That was 1980.
So it's 3 years ago.
It'd be 3 years ago, yeah. So it was, I must admit, it was if ever, I look back on my life, that was the year that it really all started.
But how is it that a lot of people, I'm talking about nosy people like myself, will say, well, how has he done it in such a short time? Because you seem to have a lot of money now.
You better ask me accountant that. We did an album. It sold heaps and heaps and heaps, right around the world, in countries that I've never heard of, I think the band itself's an honest, hard-working band. They try the hardest to give the best value for money. But the only difference for me is I live in a bigger house. I don't pay the council the rent anymore.
The fans and people generally speculate about folk like you. They all say you're a millionaire now. Would that be true?
Hey, no. The tax man's watching. No, definitely not. But I'm, unfortunately, I'm gonna leave the country for money reasons, and I never ever thought I would. I was determined to stay here, but it's, you know, just I can't afford to, you know, any longer. She's just, the dog's even worried about it. I'm going down to Hawaii, because Cliff, the bass player, already lives there, you see. And me and Carol went out there in the summer last year, and it's about the most sensible place in America, I think, you know.
As far as your life as a star is now concerned, what has it meant to you in America? How recognised are you there?
Well, it's worse in America than it is here, actually. It's, you know, I'd never been to America in my life until I joined ACDC. And the first gig we did there, you know, straight into Madison Square Garden. Just before I went on stage, I promptly got thrown out by the security, wondering what a bum like me was doing, hanging around Madison Square Garden. I mean, it was sold out, it was packed, and I couldn't get back in. So one of the chauffeurs who took me there spotted us, and he put us in the back of the limo, and he drove us back in again. In the States, all the religious and moral groups all think we're real bad lads, you know. And
because of the naughty songs?
Well, I think we drink too much, you know. We're making the kids wayward. I mean, you see an American kid, hey, they're all crackers, man. You know, they're all mental. Because their lives are revolving, it's too fast. Their life's too fast, they cannot keep up with themselves, you know.
I'll tell you something, Brian, I didn't recognise you today without your cap on.
Oh, me dut, I've got it here, right? I put me dut on there, it's better. I started wearing this in Geordie, actually. The first gig I did was West Hope Excelsior Club, and I put it on that night. I felt a bit daft, but I stuck with it. I kept it on, and the lads in the band says, oh, you want to keep it on, you know? It's a bit of a trademark. I feel comfortable when I go out in it, you know? It's just once upon a time, everybody used to wear them, and now they don't bother. Are you thirsty? Are you thirsty, Tom?
Oh, I think I could be.
Shall we go next door for a drink?
Next door?
Aye.
Right, sure.
Drink. Hey, come and crew. we are going for a drink. I don't know what you're doing.
She's a rock and roll band. She's a guitar player. She's a rockin' in his hand. Then you got the singer who's attached to the mic stand. The bass man, the drummer, are the backbone of the band. So keep on rockin', baby. Keep on rockin' all the time, baby. Keep on rockin'. Oh, yeah. Keep on rockin' all the time.
Better explain to the viewers that this is your house and not a pub. I thought we were going outside.
No, this is me recreation room.
Yes?
Aye. You get wrecked when you walk out of it.
Why do you have a bar like this in the house? I mean, you've got a dartboard, I see. You've got a pool table. It really is a pub, isn't it?
Well, it's just sort of a bit of a home from home, you know, in case sometimes, you know, when you do go out, you know, the driving stuff with a breathalyzer and all that. Sometimes it's handier just to crawl out of here and up the stairs into bed, you see.
You mentioned that a moment ago, home from home. Well, although you are moving abroad, you have bought a house here. You seem to have your roots pretty strongly in the northeast. What is it about the area that still appeals to you?
The simple answer is because as soon as I did move away, I missed home. I missed me mate. You know, the band itself are great lads and all that, you know, but I mean, it's, you know, you still feel like you want to be home. You know, like, it's all right being in Hawaii, but what do you do at 7:30 when everybody else is getting dressed to go to the club? You're still swimming, you know, and it's boring, you know. You want to be back home. Because it is a buzzing little town, Newcastle. You know, it buzzes, you know, there's always an excitement there about something that's happening.
You talked earlier there about your old mates. Well, looking back to the days before Geordie, before your singing, you mentioned an apprenticeship. What sort of work did you do?
I've been a turner, a draftsman, window cleaner. I used to put in windscreens, you know, the emergency windscreen service on the M1, vinyl roof fitter. Just about anything like that, you know. Yeah.
Had you ever got an ambition to be a professional footballer?
Oh, yeah. I just wasn't good enough, you know. I played for the United States of America against Italy.
Get away.
No, I did. I was the only Englishman in the team, actually. And we played Italy at the Fiorentina Stadium. There was about 25,000 there, you know. It was floodlit. My knees had turned to jelly. And it was against the Italian Showbiz 11. And we were unbeaten. And they thought we were going to be a walkover. But they didn't think that, you know, we had Chuck Norris, you know, the way Bruce Lee, he was centre-half. You didn't go near the man, he was dangerous. And we won 1-0. And it was a fantastic night, because Dino Zoff came down, the Italian goalkeeper, and he presented me with a Man of the Match award. That was a fantastic night. Fantastic night.
How did you get to play for America? How did that come about?
I got a telephone call right out of the blue from Los Angeles or something, and they just said, listen, do you fancy a game? You bring the ball. And, but we beat them, and it was great, and that was like the highlight of my life. You see, Tom, music's me love, and football's me passion. You know what I mean? It's two different things, you know.
You may not have made it as a professional footballer, but you're hoping to make it into the professional soccer world as a director of Newcastle United. What stage is that at?
You shouldn't have said that. Yeah, you put us right down this.
You want to be a director of Newcastle United. You've got a bob or two in the bank. What's happened? Are you going to be?
I hope so. I really do.
How much money are you prepared to put in at the club?
I said 100,000, and I mean 100,000. I'm not going back on my word. I don't want anything out of it. I want nothing. And sometimes I think it may be a little unfair for me to be classed as anything to do with Newcastle United if I'm not there. And who am I to say that I could make a big difference to the team? I like to think I could. Maybe I'm too inexperienced at it. You know, it's a frightening thought, you know, but I'd love to be able to do something. I know one thing I really would like to help Newcastle United with, and this is another thing that I found refreshing with the directors. They want to make St James's Park a good rock venue, which I thought was great. Once upon a time, they would never have thought of that, because I remember Geordie tried to play there and they knocked it on the head. But now they actually, they want it, because the Rolling Stones came there. That was tremendous. Those directors bringing the Rolling Stones there.
In this city, their dream would be to be where you are today. Now, you're opening your own studio to cut discs in the city.
Yes.
Is this an ambition of yours to help young people in the music world?
Well, I'm really, yes, it is. I'm dead excited, because it's the realization of a dream for me. I'm going to try and help people up here, you know, without publishing companies and stuff like that.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, we're going to do one of those magic things on television. You and me are going to pick up the whiskey. Mm-hmm. The cameraman's going to zoom in on us enjoying ourselves.
How can he? He's drunk.
And then he'll pick us up at the studios, and we'll see what you're going to offer there.
See you at Shielfield, lads.
Cheers. Well, here we are, Brian, just like that.
Yeah.
And this is the mixing desk in the new studio. I expect you know how all these buttons work.
Well, I know a few of them. It's just come in, so it's still pretty new to everyone in this studio. So, you know, we'll get the hang of it by tomorrow, I think.
Well, there have been recording studios for some time in the Northeast, but what's so special about this one?
To put it bluntly, it's the best. It's the best you can get, best that money can buy. And we've already got about 3 or 4 American bands, big American bands, very interested in recording here for tax reasons, obviously, to record in England. There's some European bands want to come over here, and but you know, at the same time, we don't want to frighten off local talent. You know, we don't want to frighten them off by huge prices. You know, we've obviously got to keep ourselves within the sort of framework that, you know, people up here can afford.
Well, you've talked to us about your international career. You're moving away next week, but here you've put your money into a recording studio on your native Tyneside.
Well, it's just where things have been going the last couple of years, and everybody's been talking about recession and stuff like this, and there must be a lot of big money investors who really aren't putting as much money as they should. They may be waiting, hedging their bets a little till the recession's over. I want to invest my money here because future have the talent in the Northeast. I mean, it's the biggest hotbed for music in the world as far as I'm concerned. I just want them to have the best, you know.